good, YouTube? It's your dude, Hollywood P, back again for another reaction video. Now, today we will be doing a different type of reaction. I'm sure you guys have seen in the news everything that's going on with Sean P. Diddy Combs, aka Puff Daddy, aka Brother Love. It's been crazy. And well, my thing is, I actually know Puff. You know, I met Puff back in, I think, 2012, 2013, somewhere up in there. I met him in Atlanta at a music video shoot for Waka Flocka Flame. The Oh Let's Do It remix with him, Ross, and Gucci Mane. They were on the remix. But of course, Gucci Mane wasn't at the video shoot. He was incarcerated at that time. He was still in jail. But Waka had the song. You know, I was cool with Waka. I'm like in 2 or 3 videos with Waka, you know, because me and Waka, we cool. And that's back when I was, you know, on the road a lot with Diamond from Crime Mob, you know, Nuck, If You Buck, Nuck, If You, all that. And Scrappy, Lil Scrappy. Yeah, I was just always around. I was always in videos. I always was just doing my thing. Just trying to get on, just trying to, you know, tap in. But I'll go more in depth with that. You know, let's get into this video and see what it's about. It's called Surviving Diddy, the Diddler. You know, yeah, you guys are out of control. But anyway, we're going to check it out and let's see what we're talking about. All right.
There are so many witnesses. There are so many victims.
Starting to act different, huh? You ain't been calling me and hanging out the way we used to hang out.
I don't know if I could indulge and understand what I was even looking at.
Is there anything that you may want to confess tonight before you go in?
You're a dad now. Would you ever send your kid to Puffy camp?
Hell no.
You try to get in contact with me, you know, through all my, partners.
I keep everything right here. There you go. Or right here. There you go.
Let's just go get some girls.
Man after my heart, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. My number.
Yeah.
Is this a sociopath or is this somebody that
Savage! I'm a savage! Oh!
can be redeemed? And I'm not talking about in business or to the world. I think it's a wrap for that.
I'm a savage! Whatever I want, I'm going to get! Whatever I want, I have to get!
I mean, like, his soul.
I never liked him. I met him a bunch of times, but I never liked him.
Because P. Diddy be wanting to...
Man, hold on, let me pause this. See, one thing it is when you're trying to, you know, people doing things for likes and views and clicks and all that stuff. But at the same time, a lot of stuff that Puff was doing, as far as the partying and just, you know, living his best life, a lot of this stuff was consensual. You know what I mean? Everything wasn't, what they trying to do with Puff, and like I said, like, me and Puff, we cool, but at the same time, it's like, what they trying to do, is kind of like trump up a bunch of stuff on Puff, man. He's, like I said, everybody wasn't a victim. Some people were actually down for this. Some people had fun. You know, everybody's not a victim. So let's just say that. Everybody is just not a victim. So, but anyway, let's get back to the video and see what's going on.
Party. And you gotta tell him no. You got to tell him no.
About my party, they're gonna be shutting them down. They're gonna probably be arresting me.
When they come to one of my parties, this is what happens to them. I put them to sleep.
I mean, the after party. Any locks on the doors?
No, I know about them.
A lot of heat.
Physically, the place has to be hot.
You don't have no air conditioning.
No air conditioning.
No.
Why is that?
Heat affects the alcohol, and it also affects, like, everybody gets a little bit more comfortable and loose. Builds up a nice little sweat.
How do I address you?
You can call me Love.
I want to say this because I want to just get to some more clarity on how it was back in the 90s and stuff like that. In the 90s, there wasn't all of these limitations on things you can say. There was no Me Too movement. There was none of all this other stuff. You know what I mean? The way it was back in the day is you had artists like Luke, you know, wilding out, straight recording porn on the beach type stuff, right? You had all these different sex parties with Aaron Hall and Puff and just, everybody just wilding. You know, you had Freaknik in Atlanta. You get what I'm saying? So you got to realize Puff came from that era. Puff came from the Freaknik era. So when we see things in 2024 and we look at it as a different day and age, you have women, like I say, claiming they were this and that. Everybody was wilding. Everybody was partying. Everybody was taking drugs. Everybody was drinking. Everybody was just all over the place. They were all free-spirited people. But now that people feel like they can get compensation for a wild Friday night, everybody's been touched. Everybody's been a victim, you know. And I'm not saying, because there are real victims out there, but everybody's not a victim. Not everybody. You know what I mean? Think about how many people were at, let's do a ratio of everything. Think about, let's say Puff had 500 people at the party. You got 2 and 3 people, or maybe even 4 people come out and say they've been touched. So that means, the other 400 plus people, what happened there? Did you guys get touched too? You know what I mean? So you got to look at it like that. These people were on drugs because they wanted to be on drugs. A lot of them. Some of the women, you know, things happen. But anyway, let's get back to the video, guys. This is crazy.
Imagine waking up one day and the very foundation you've built your belief system on crumbles beneath you. For decades, Sean Diddy Combs was untouchable, a king among mortals, a figure that embodied hustle, success, and cultural power. He wasn't just a man, he was a symbol. The Bad Boy Records empire, his billion-dollar deals with Diego and Revolt TV, his Lifetime Achievement Awards. These were the bricks in the fortress of a legacy that seemed impenetrable. But here's the thing about legacy. It's fragile. All it takes is one crack, one accusation, and suddenly the whole structure collapses, like a house of cards. You see, for years we believed in the myth of Diddy. We wanted to believe in the fairy tale of his rise from nothing to everything, a narrative of grit, hustle, and endless success.
All right, let me say this, guys. One thing about Puff that we can all really admit to is that Puff definitely was really all about the music. You know, we have a lot of timeless classics, a lot of superstars that came and signed on to Bad Boy, you know what I mean, records when it was one of the hottest labels at the time. And I just feel like this. Whenever a person does get a certain amount of money, their status goes up. You know, you get better cars, you get better women, you start living an elite lifestyle. You feel untouchable. And it's not just Puff, it's, you know, you got Floyd Mayweather. I was partying with Floyd. Well, we were at an actual game when we was in Miami. And if you're looking at the basketball court, you know how there's a basketball court on the right side and there's one on the left side, right? One on one side of the court, one on the other. On the right side of the court, there was the Money Team girls, Floyd's little harem of women. I mean, you had Liza Hernandez, you had Kichi, which was his, of course, personal assistant. Rest in peace to Kichi. It was just a ton of women there. I mean, then you had like tons of women just in line trying to get onto the side with the Money Team girls or the Money girls or whatever they call. And it was just wild. And I think also 50 Cent's baby mom was there too. And was it Joy, whatever her name is, the one with his smallest child or whatever. She was there, and she was gorgeous. Like I said, it was just a night to remember. But all successful people party hard, man. They got women, they got money, things happen, you know. And I think Puff just got caught up in that lifestyle, and well, this is the downside of things.
But now we're confronted with a darker truth. The allegations that have surfaced, stories of sexual assault, abuse, and manipulation, are like a cold splash of water to the face. And it's forcing us to ask, what happens when the hero of the story is revealed as the villain all along? This is the story of Sean Combs, a man who rose to unimaginable heights only to have it all come crashing down piece by piece. And like any good story, it's about to get a lot more complicated. Sean John Combs was born on November 4th, 1969, in the Harlem neighborhood of New York City. He was raised by his mother, Janice Combs, after his father, Melvin Earl Combs, was murdered in 1974 when he was just 3 years old. Melvin Combs was a big drug dealer for Harlem mobsters and ultimately died in a drug deal gone wrong. Meanwhile, Janice took on 3 jobs: as a teacher, substitute teacher, and escort. As an escort, it's been reported that Janice would take her clients back home and have sex with them in front of Diddy, exposing.
All right. Like I said, I don't know who put this documentary together. Like I said, I was just scrolling through YouTube, saw the video, was like, let me react to it. So this is my first time seeing this, just like you guys, if you haven't seen it already. But just hopefully the guy that put this documentary together is spitting all facts, because calling a man's mom a escort or saying that she was a prostitute back in the day to make ends meet is kind of crazy, you know. So I hope you don't receive any backlash for saying that if you are just speaking off of things you've heard, because you didn't say, you know, allegedly.
To adult activity at an early age, which makes you think, is this where the idea of freak-offs subconsciously came to Diddy? Furthermore, upon looking at the dynamic of Janice and Diddy on camera, it does make you think if this is a normal mother and son relationship. Over the years, Combs has gone by various names, including Puffy, Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, Diddy, and Love, which he legally made his middle name in 2021. He earned the nickname Puffy in high school because of his habit of puffing out his chest to make his body seem bigger. Combs majored in business administration at Howard University, producing weekly dance parties and running an airport shuttle service while attending classes. He dropped out to pursue an internship at Uptown Records, which led to a talent director position. Combs repeatedly rose to the level of vice president and had success producing several key artists for Uptown, but left the company in the early 1990s due to being fired from Andre Harrell.
I let Puff go. For the whole time he was let go, he was always on payroll. I never stopped paying him until he found his next spot. His artists were always still getting per diem, because I didn't do it to hurt him, but I knew it was time for him to grow.
In 1993, Combs started his own record company, Bad Boy Records.
I named it Bad Boy because I wanted to go against the grain. Anytime you go against the grain, they consider you like kind of bad. Nothing negative, nothing like hardcore, just...
I'll say this. One thing that we can't take away from Puff is that he a hustler. He know how to get to the bag. But like I said, you gotta look at how long Puff was famous for. Puff has been famous for a very long time. He has been with some of the most beautiful women in the world. He has thrown some of the most extravagant parties that you can even imagine. I mean, things like this seem like they were bound to come to a head eventually anyway. I mean, because like I say, times have changed. The 90s versus now are completely different. It's like we're in two different worlds. Back then, it used to get wild. Luckily, I'm old enough to have experienced a very small fraction of those moments. And let me tell you, there were no limitations. There was no boundaries. Everything was like on the table. I'll put it like that. You know what I mean? But let's get back to this video.
I didn't want to be regular. I didn't want to just make records. I didn't want to just make money. I wanted to make history.
And here's the thing. Bad Boy Records wasn't just a record label, it was a revolution. Combs had this vision to reshape the sound of hip-hop, and with Biggie Smalls at his side, he did just that. The hits came like an unstoppable wave. Juicy, Big Papa, Mo Money, Mo Problems. Suddenly, Sean Puffy Combs wasn't just making music, he was creating culture. He became a legend not just because of his talents, but because of his belief that he could be more than just an industry player. He could be the industry.
It all goes back to one point. So I have a dream. A lot of times people see your dreams as they crazy. You going for your passion you have for your dreams may make you act crazy. You're trying to reach your goals for your dreams. You're driven, you know. The dreams you have are so visionary, they may call you a genius. But it's just, I'm a dreamer. I love closing my eyes and dreaming. I don't really deal with reality when I deal with trying to work towards the future.
But here's the thing about legends. They often start to believe in their own immortality. And when you think you're untouchable, you stop seeing the cracks forming beneath your feet. As Combs expanded his empire, fashion, liquor, television, he evolved from a mogul into a monarch. He wasn't just successful, he was royalty. He didn't just rule Bad Boy Records, he ruled culture. Every room he walked into, every deal he made reinforced the idea that he was indestructible, that his empire would stand forever. But here's the...
And that's what I'm saying. I think what it is, you know, allegedly he had issues with Diego, his liquor brand people, you know, for the Ciroc and his other brands. And things happen in business every day. But this right here, it was just, you know, like I was saying, everything, the way how the culture is now versus back then, anything that we talk about that happened in the past is gonna sound like some crazy, you know, outlandish type of situation. And it was just a normal day out, you know, back in the day. You know, girls getting naked, girls doing this in the parties, and Superhead, and all these other things that, you know, that happened allegedly. So when I hear about the stuff Puff doing, I'm like, well, you know, that's kind of like a normal thing, you know, from what it was back in the day. But today's day and age, everybody's screaming Me Too. Everybody's, you know, trying to find a way to sue somebody and all this stuff. And I think that kind of ties too, because you got people, just random people just coming saying that, because a lot of people were at these parties, like at just the not even the freak offs, just the regular parties. But they got it so where it's like, even if you're like going, say you're at the bar, you're grabbing a drink, and you mistakenly bump into a woman and you rubbed up on her breast or something like that. Now, 5 years later, you got a sexual assault charge. You're like, wait, what? But she don't want to put you in jail. She just wants your money. Like, what? Wait, what? I don't even know you. You know what I mean? So it's just it's a slippery slope. But anyway, we're going to get back to this video and see what we're talking about here.
Kicker. What happens when the king forgets he's human? When the power he's wielded so confidently begins to morph into something darker, more insidious? When the empire you've built starts to crack under the weight of its own unchecked ambition? The answer to that question is where our story really begins. Because while the world saw Diddy's ascent to power, few were prepared for the fall that was waiting just around the corner. And trust me, what's coming next? You won't want to miss it.
All right. So what I'm going to do is, because I know this documentary is kind of long, I'm going to split this into maybe 2 or 3 parts. But I kind of want to touch on what I was telling you about earlier. Like, you know, like I said, I was at the video shoot. I met Puff. He had his Rolls Royce Phantom out there. He was wearing a chinchilla coat. He was using his BlackBerry, you know, confirmed he did have a BlackBerry. And when I was talking to Puff, he was just, you know, he was like, what do you do, kid? You know what I mean? I was like, I do music. At that time, I wasn't doing acting or anything like that. It was just strictly music. And the one time when I like didn't have anything on me, because we're talking about 2013, 2012. And, you know, I mean, I didn't have nothing. I mean, I was out there for a video shoot. I didn't expect to really be, you know, talking to Puff or whoever. You know what I mean? Like, I know Ross, you know, but like Puff, like meeting Puff was like for the first time, and I didn't know he was gonna be so cool. You know what I mean? But he didn't, like, none of that, you know, weird stuff and nothing like that. He didn't try me or anything. It was just strictly like, yo, what do you do, kid? You know, but I didn't have anything to showcase. You know, I didn't have anything to present to him at the time. And to this whole new things that has, you know, the Diddler and the Surviving Diddy and all this stuff has come up, I used to always kick myself. I'm like, bro, I don't know where I could have been, you know, with the whole Bad Boy thing, or maybe just branched off to some other record label or something like that. I always like kick myself because of that. But now it's like, maybe it was like a blessing in disguise that I didn't have anything to present to Puff at that time. because it's like he was kind of like, he didn't like, he was like, when he looked, he was like, he kind of shook. He's like, yo, what you got, kid? What do you do? So he knew I'd do something, you know what I mean? Plus I had the chains on and all that stuff. But it was like, man, I always be like, bro, I could have been signed. I could have been, and I used to always tell my story, like, yeah, I could have been signed to Puff. But fast forward now, glad I wasn't. But like I said, I've been on the phone back and forth talking to Aubrey all day. And me and Aubrey are cool, you know. But when I first started talking to Aubrey, I always used to think that maybe she's just bitter because of how Puff did her on Making the Band. You know, the whole Danny Kane thing when he fired her. And I was like, please don't tell me you're just about to try to take this man down just because you're upset of how he did you in front of the world on TV. You know, but she's so locked in on proving him as a monster it was no like turning her away from it. Cause at first when I got in there, I was like, come on, just let it ride. Just let that man do what he do. You still successful. You still out here doing it. I was trying to pat, but then I say 3 days after I was talking about that with her, the Cassie and Diddy hotel video dropped. And I was like, damn. So I'd say a week later, I talked to her again on the phone. And I was just telling her about something that I've heard, you know, about a certain artist that was signed to Puff at one point in time, but I won't call any names out. And I was telling her what was going on, and she was like, she never knew that. She was like, yeah, just like, she said that must have like happened, of course, after she left. And I was like, yeah, that's happened like recently, like not within like a year or two, but it's probably been within the past 3 or 4 years, you know, give or take. And she was like, wow, I kind of like, she can kind of see that. But the thing that had me looking at what I told her differently is the way she reacted to it. She was like, well, let that person know that they can always come get help. Well, it's like the way she was sounding was kind of like sounding like they were building a case against Puff, or she knew about the case being built against Puff. You know what I mean? Because of how she responded. And I was like, dang. I was like, she didn't respond like, oh wow, that's wild, and then carry on. No, she kind of was like, we can give him shelter. We can help him. I have people in place to. I was like, wait, what? You know, so I'm like, all right, but you know, but anyway, folks, I'm gonna end it there, but we'll pick up in part 2. I'll probably drop that video maybe in a day or 2. But I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. But please do me this favor, like, comment, subscribe. Please turn on your post notifications, and I'll see you on the next go, baby. Part 2 coming soon. Peace.
Every second, every minute, man, I swear.